The Master's Mysteries, Tales of Magical Mastery, Episode 120. We're going to get rich, just as we were talking. The three fools accidentally stumbled upon a stone cave and discovered that it actually hid treasures, mountains of gold, silver, and precious gems, dazzling to the point of causing eye pain. Get married, marry the most beautiful one. I want to marry 2. No, marry 6. With so much money, I want to marry 100. What have these 3 brothers endured hardships for? Isn't it for this unimaginable wealth? At this moment, unable to restrain themselves, they rushed towards that pile of treasures like mad dogs. But before they could take a few steps, the ground suddenly softened under their feet, and a series of clanking mechanical sounds began. All 3 of them were experienced in the martial world. How could they not understand that they had triggered a mechanism? Oh no, there's a mechanism. Indeed, the ground beneath their feet suddenly collapsed, and even more frequent clanking sounds followed. The 3 initially thought that perhaps some poisoned crossbow arrows would be released, and frightened, they looked around. Just then, another loud bang sounded beside them, and a rock taller than a person came crashing down. Looking up, sharp and jagged rocks on the cave ceiling were breaking off and falling, creating a rain of rocks. This fracture was not just a piece or 2. The densely packed stalactites on the cave ceiling were falling rapidly like dumplings. Although unwilling, one's life is the most important. Wait a moment, second brother, third brother, let's go back. Seeing that if they didn't retreat now, the 3 would be crushed into pulp, the eldest and second brother became anxious, but a loud roar from the third brother silenced them. Seeking wealth and danger. Do you see what that is? That is what we've pursued all our lives, pointing to the enormous wealth just a dozen meters ahead that they could easily obtain. Retreating now would mean getting nothing. Can they really resign themselves to giving up like this? That is the happiness of our later years. Can we give up? No, we can't give up. Adventure and wealth naturally go hand in hand. The greed of the eldest and second brother was immediately stirred by the third brother, and the 3 of them, in courage, wanted to rush over to claim the treasure. But at that moment, a small stone hit the third brother on the head. Oh my goodness, it hurts. It's so painful. The scene then shifts. The third brother, who was just determined to seek wealth and danger, turns around and runs, leaving behind all the gold and silver treasures. Run fast. If you don't run, you'll die. But this delay is not insignificant. The collapse of the entire cave is becoming more severe. Watching the densely falling stalactites, can these 3 escape with their lives? Meanwhile, on the cliff top, Liao Fengyi has had the 3 divine seals on his body broken by his master, and the Black Phoenix demon's inner core has unexpectedly been completely refined and subdued. You should know that the Black Phoenix demon is a figure who has stepped into the divine level, having cultivated for tens of thousands of years. The explosive power of this inner core, once melted, can be imagined. A powerful force bursts out from Liao Fengyi's body, and the stimulating sensation makes Du Xianjun feel a tingling sensation on his skin. Even Du Xianjun feels the immense pressure. What about others? Everyone is almost struggling to stand due to this powerful aura. Master, how could Fengyi have melted the inner core so quickly? Don't forget that I had him practice the fundamental techniques for a whole 10 years to refine his body. Master Wan seemed puzzled. For a cultivator, it's usually impossible to melt the inner core of a demon in just a few years or even decades, especially when it's the inner core of a demon god. And this inner core has been nurtured in his body for 10 years. It wasn't nurtured in vain. In fact, all of this was part of Lai Bai's design. The demon core in Liao Fengyi's body was nurtured for 10 years for this moment, and the effects of those 10 years are now evident. However, Liao Fengyi is not feeling well at the moment. He feels like there's a fire burning inside him. If one were to get closer, they would notice that every blood vessel in his body has swollen. The powerful and uncontrollable force keeps circulating inside him, making Liao Fengyi feel like every drop of blood in his body is boiling and pulsating. No matter how he suppresses it, that power seems ready to burst out of his body at any moment. Fortunately, his body is strong enough, surpassing the extreme danger of a human. Not only his body, but his core is also strong enough after 10 years of basic training, not troubled by the remaining demon energy in the Black Phoenix demon's inner core. Master, thank you. Liao Fengyi's consciousness also quickly recovers, and his entire demeanor undergoes a significant change from before. I finally understand your intentions. I am truly your disciple. Liao Fengyi is now well aware of the changes in his body, and finally understands the master's strict demands on his basic skills over the past 10 years. He used to think that the master's teachings to Du Qianjun were the focus, but now he suddenly understands everything. A genuine disciple expresses gratitude for the master's careful teachings, simultaneously stimulating another person. Seeing the change in Liao Fengyi before him, Du Qianjun's expression becomes even more solemn. Kid, you're overdoing it, still dreaming of a crow turning into a phoenix. Crows can indeed turn into phoenixes. His gaze turns cold, and a sarcastic remark slips out, but he doesn't realize that, to Liao Fengyi, his mockery is an exposition of facts, because the true form of the Black Phoenix demon is a crow, which cultivated for thousands of years to become a phoenix. But some things will forever transform into true dragons. Arrogant, you understand nothing. Our divine dragon sect is the teaching of dragon revival. Du Qianjun, seeing the rookie who had been beneath his feet uttering such arrogant words, disdainfully tilted his head back and burst into laughter. It will, but just as the laughter began, he suddenly realized that the rookie in front of him had disappeared, and his laughter froze on his face. Of course, people don't just vanish into thin air. Before Du Qianjun could react, he felt a sudden intense pain in his back. Liao Fengyi, at some point, had circled behind him. The techniques remained simple, but the power and speed were no longer comparable to before. Du Qianjun, struck by this move, hadn't even landed when he found Liao Fengyi rushing to him again, followed by another burst of punches. Du Qianjun couldn't figure out what had happened, why Liao Fengyi's transformation was so earth-shattering. The rookie, like possessed by a god of death, moved so quickly that it was almost supernatural. Those seemingly clumsy punches were now impossible to dodge. Question marks arose in Du Qianjun's mind, but there was no one to answer him. Moreover, Liao Fengyi's palm came down fiercely again. This palm, usually not even enough to scratch an itch, now, when it landed, Du Qianjun felt like his entire body was about to be shattered. The cliff beneath his feet also vibrated. Du Qianjun barely withstood the impact with almost all his strength, but the mental shock was not so easily endured. Bastard, you really think a clown can turn the tide? Go to hell, determined to kill this bastard as quickly as possible, at any cost. Du Qianjun's face twisted into a fierce expression as he launched an attack at Liao Fengyi. However, the Liao Fengyi before him disappeared once again. I know you're here. Disappeared. Then he must be behind. This time, Du Qianjun struck first. Go to hell. A powerful force surged towards his back, but when he turned around, he found that Liao Fengyi was not behind him at all. In front of the master, we are all clowns. His attack slammed into the rock wall, and at that moment, Liao Fengyi's voice echoed behind him. Bastard, I am not. Really, how is this possible? Previously, it was one's own negligence, but now one has pushed all abilities to the limit. How could it be possible not to keep up with his speed? The sound coming from behind was driving Du Qianjun gradually insane. Do you think you've surpassed the master? I have surpassed him. No one is my match. I am invincible. Compared to the master, in just a few seconds of madness, Duke Xianjun directed all his strength in all directions. However, Liao Fengyi's voice continued to appear behind him. You're not worthy. And this time, Liao Fengyi showed no mercy. A punch directly slammed into Duke Xianjun's face. This punch actually sent Duke Xianjun flying more than 10 meters away, crashing heavily into the cliff wall as if an explosive had gone off. But when the dust settled, Duke Xianjun's figure was nowhere to be seen. He finally figured it out. Since being passive on the ground, why not jump into the air, widen the field of vision, and that clumsy rookie bird would have nowhere to escape. Bastard, I won't spare you. Jumping high will only make the fall more brutal, but can this really turn the tide?